Welcome back. I'm glad you're still with us here on A Morning at NTV. Time now for Take Note, and we are going to be discussing the role of NACORI in Uganda's agro-industrialization agenda. Now, I know your ears out there must be wondering, what is NACORI? NACORI, of course, we have guests with us here who will be taking us through what it does as an organization, but most importantly, what its role is in Uganda's agro-industrialization agenda. As you may have heard, the president has often spoken about the fact that Uganda must find new niches and positions in order to front the national agenda of socio-economic transformation. Coffee and cocoa are crops that are at the front of this thrust by government as well as other people who are making headway in terms of intervention. Allow me to introduce my guests this morning. Dr. Geoffrey Arinaitwe is the Director of Research at the National Coffee Research Institute. I've already given away. I needed them to tell us the NACORI thing, but anyway, they'll be telling us more about it. Many thanks for making time.
Thank you.
On my extreme left is Godfrey Kagezi, Principal Research Officer at NACORI. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, viewers.
I think I'll begin with Dr. Arinaitwe to quickly take us through what NACORI is, what is the mandate of the organization, and be able to give us impetus for this particular discussion.
Good morning, viewers. And remember to take a cup of coffee to have the most beautiful day for the morning.
Yeah.
The National Coffee Research Institute is one of the 16 institutes under National Agricultural Research Organization, and is mandated to do all forms of research, including basic, applied, and research of strategic nature for the development of this country. The institute also does research on cocoa. And these two crops are very important cash crops or foreign earners in this country. I should remember to tell you that coffee contributes over 20% of our GDP and supports most of our families, most of our households. It's a very important crop.
Okay, that means you said cocoa too. I just want to stay with you very briefly before I go to Mr. Kagezi. What is the national footprint like? I love to use the word footprint because that is more like an overview of where the coffee is grown. You said it's very important to many of our families as a cash crop. And I know for those of us who grew up in regions like Elgon, know how much coffee is being grown there, but there's also a lot of coffee in other places around the country. Give us a picture of where it's grown most, where it is consumed most, maybe.
We in Uganda, we are lucky. We can produce two types of coffee. We can mainly 80% we produce Robusta coffee. Robusta, the tree is robust, is giant, and gives you higher yields. And this is grown on lowlands. The lowlands including the central region, southwestern region, and western region, including the Busoga sub-region. And then we have Arabica coffee. Arabica coffee is more expensive. It has strong flavor. Many people like Arabica coffee. And this is grown mainly in the Elgon. The Elgon region is popular for very aromatic Arabic coffee, but it's also grown in other highlands, including Kisoro, and then the Rwenzori, the ranges or region, and then up in Zombo, northwestern Uganda.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much. Mr. Kagezi, you're a Principal Research Officer, and I'm sure there's a lot of research that is going on in terms of improving genetics of coffee, advancements in biotechnology, just to ensure that the top quality coffee that the world needs is the one that we put out there in order to be able to leverage on the advantages of price. Tell us where we are in terms of these advancements.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, viewers. In terms of advancement, we have developed resistant varieties. During the 1990s and early 2000s, there was a disease which wiped out almost our Robusta coffee, 50% of our Robusta coffee. It's called the coffee wilt disease. Yeah. And this disease cannot be controlled by chemicals, cannot be controlled by physical means, cultural means, because it's very tedious. So the only solution was research to develop resistant varieties. Okay. And currently we have 10 resistant varieties we have developed, and we are promoting together with the Uganda Coffee Development Authority. And this is one of our major achievements when it comes to science. But also when you develop a variety, it needs to go with the appropriate technologies to manage it. So on top of that, we have also developed technologies and practices for managing our varieties. And there is a lot of demand. You can't imagine that the country now has a lot of demand on seedlings. And as my director will tell you, the demand we have is just too much.
Within and outside the country?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we have just gotten calls from Kenya. They want us to supply these varieties. So a lot needs to be done. A lot of investment needs to be done so that we can satisfy the demand and market.
Okay. Allow me to stay with you on this, because as a principal research officer, you are like a foot soldier. And on aspects including climate smart agriculture, because many times the challenges that we face right now are related to climate resilience, and if these varieties can be able to help farmers be able to mitigate and basically not suffer the adverse effects. When you talk about sustainability, I see the focus on developing coffee and cocoa varieties that are resilient to climate impacts. What is this innovation structure like, and how does it attend to the needs and the realities of the farmers across the country?
Okay, when it comes to climate, there are so many technologies and practices for addressing the problems of climate change. And one of the technologies or practices is planting shade trees, planting coffee in agroforestry systems. And as NACORI, as NARO, we have recommended shade trees for each of the regions the director was talking about. We have 6 coffee growing regions in Uganda. And for each region we have developed specific shade trees. And we are encouraging farmers to grow those shade trees. Because even if we give you these varieties and you grow them in the open, when drought comes, they'll be affected. So we are encouraging farmers to grow them with the shade trees, but also with bananas, because traditional coffee is grown by with bananas, and these are very friendly crops.
Okay. All right, let me return to Dr. Arina Itwei, and this is with regard to capacity building and farmer education. I'm told the Institute is big in investing on capacity building programs to help farmers across the country, especially when it comes to modern agronomic practices and post-harvest handling techniques. Could you take us through that and how it's rolling out?
We are looking at supporting farmers and other actors in the value chain in doing what they are doing successfully. But looking at the farmers, we have a wide range of farmers, smallholder farmers, and currently we have upcoming large-scale farmers. These have different needs in terms of sustainable coffee and cocoa production. But what we're looking at most is having a modern way of producing coffee that gives you more yield. And then at the end of the day, we have increased volumes and quality of the coffee beans for export and local industry involvement. So the package that we give includes training, first training some of our staff members,
That's right.
and then training extension agents that are under Uganda Development Authority, we work together in this, because imagine we are located only at NACORI, that is in Mukono. We cannot reach everywhere in the country, and leave alone doing research continuously. So we train farmers in partnership with UCDA that has coffee specialized extension agents.
UCDA, that's the Coffee Development
Authority. Coffee Development Authority. And then we work also in partnership with the other local extension officers, the local government in the districts, to increase the energy and the spread of the information that we have. But going back to the most challenging task is of making sure that the improved varieties that we have are grown by farmers across the country. We developed 10 varieties. Of recent, we released 3 important ones, that's KR8, 9, and 10. KR10 is one of the best Robusta coffee varieties I've seen in this country, because it gives you over 50% of the screen 18. Coffee beans are of different sizes. And if you have screen 17 and 18, it fetches a lot of money on international markets. So these recent varieties, 3 of them are extremely important. But after breeding, we have a few trees. And then we need these trees to be multiplied and given to farmers across the country. So we are planning to have the sub-centers that will form what we call coffee farm innovation centers, or hubs across the country. So that we can have a center in each of the coffee producing regions. For example, Mid-North, the Elgon, and Central and Southwestern region. Then we can create multiplication centers so that farmers have ready access to these planting materials. You can imagine a farmer coming from Rukunjiri with a small vehicle to buy a few chrono cuttings from NACORI, which is in Mukono Kituza. It has happened before. If I can remember, there's a lady who came to buy plantlets with a small car. After loading it, it could not move, and asked me, "Director, what can I do?" Then we had to organize to have these plantlets distributed by our own vehicles. This indirectly tells you or illustrates the pain farmers go through to come to Mukono to buy our plantlets. Many farmers come up to Mukono because they believe we have the best or quality planting material. It's true because these are produced by scientists, but we can't do it alone.
That's right.
So in partnership with Uganda Coffee Development Authority, we created the private nursery operators. These private nursery operators get at least 500 rooted color cuttings of these varieties. They go and establish mother gardens in different regions of this country, and then work with the UCDA coffee specialized extension officers to establish mother gardens, multiply, and then we can reach individual farmers. The system comes with some challenges because you need a lot of resources to train the people working in those nurseries, to train private nursery operators, and later on to help farmers access the planting materials. Previously, UCDA did a good job of buying planting materials and giving them to farmers. But recently, the financing declined or reduced, and now many people are really pushing NACORI to be the one to provide these materials. So we are appealing to stakeholders, particularly government, to enable us, in partnership with the UCDA, establish our coffee farm innovation centers, or what they call hubs, that can multiply and distribute these high-yielding coffee varieties. And I promise you, if we did, we could reach the 20 million bags in a very short time.
All right. I'm sure that the government policymakers and all that you speak to or you give these reports to are doing a pretty good job. But let me go to Mr. Kagezi, and this is on leveraging technology and digital tools. I know across the globe, societies or even countries, for example, that are big on export of coffee are increasingly considering data analytics to be able to understand the various aspects in terms of quantity, quality, and even the entire trajectory of the growth of this coffee plant from the farm right to the processing to the market. How is NACORI and other stakeholders leveraging technology in this case?
Thank you very much. We are already doing that. For example, what the director was talking about. When it comes to these planting materials, even if you're a scientist like me, because I'm not a breeder, I cannot distinguish the lines.
Okay.
So the only way we can do is to use artificial intelligence. And one of my students, in fact, is developing an app. Yeah. At least he has come out with something which is towards developing an app whereby a farmer, when he goes to buy, or a nursery operators, when he comes to buy, he knows I'm taking KR1, KR3, or KR4. So, but we are also looking at others. We are looking at forecasting when it comes like pests and diseases. We don't really need to be running around the country seeing whether we have pests or not. We can now use the artificial intelligence to forecast, predict that a pest. They are looking at the weather. The good thing with pests and diseases, they depend so much on environment. So you just look at the environment. Any change in environment can tell you that maybe this pest, there's going to be an outbreak of this pest or this disease. And then you come up with technologies which can mitigate this.
Now, many times the challenge with technology is the onboarding of technologies. For example, farmers that are in far-flung areas who might not necessarily be comfortable with the technologies, including the ability to follow and have real-time information exchange on smartphones. How do you factor them in? Because they are not going to buy a smartphone because they've been told by NACORI that you need to, follow up how all these dynamics are going on. How do you onboard them?
No, we are engaging the people in technologies, because I'm not an ICT person.
Of course, yeah.
But at least I lead the research, and I can tell my ICT that when you are developing this technology, it has to be farmer friendly.
That's right.
And what I mean by farmer friendly is a farmer having capability, and he or she can access as much information as somebody who has a smartphone. Yes.
All right. Let me just delve into aspects of export diversification and how this is driving economic growth. I think this particular question goes to Dr. Arinaitre. You must be at the forefront, especially when it comes to sitting with these other agencies, including UCDA, in order to drive this diversification agenda in the best possible way, one that allows for each sector to complement the other. There is a tendency, for example, for the guys in coffee to do what they do best, and then in other areas, then at the end of the day, you reach a certain point where you must have some kind of convergency, and because you have not done it before, it creates a bit of a challenge going forward, and that can hinder the kind of growth that the nation is looking forward to. How are you approaching this?
What I can tell you, viewers, coffee is not a beverage only. Coffee and cocoa are multi-industrial crops.
Multi-industrial crops.
So if you look at the agro-industrialization agenda, we are to develop the local industries, but we still have to encourage domestic consumption if this has to work quite well. And if we have to encourage investments in the sector. So the Institute has been looking at implementing a strategy where research supports export and agro-industry development. If it has to do that, then we have to integrate aspects of enterprise development that will enlarge the employment of women and youth in the sector. In this case, we've got to develop a wide range of diversified coffee and cocoa products that will fit all these categories of the actors that we have, or value chain actors that we have.
Right.
So what we are thinking, what we are implementing, is that our researchers should be multitasked, or we should have different categories of scientists that can contribute to the development of these products that we are looking at. We're looking at coffee and cocoa products that are targeting 3 industries. The beverage industry, that's a classic one, and many people think that coffee is just a beverage. The brown liquid that we drink to get energy every morning, and powders. But coffee can also support the beauty industry. Beauty industry. Okay. We have illustrated this at the Institute. We have a wide range of beauty products, and some of these are being promoted by private sector agents. And the beauty with the coffee-based products for skincare, scientifically they contain anti-aging ingredients. So this is a huge industry. And we are looking at using the coffee beans that mainly do not go into the mainstream trading systems. The rejected beans, broken beans that are usually thrown away, or the undergrades that usually fetch small amount of money. So we've shown that if you use 1 kilogram of undergrade, you can get 4 times the value, or in terms of money, that you get from the most expensive screen 18 beans. So coffee is in beauty industry is huge. And then we are looking at the sports industry. In the sports industry, what can coffee do? You know, coffee is like an energy ball on an energy bean. So what we're looking at, because coffee contains caffeine that stimulates our metabolism and releasing a lot of energy from us. We are basing ourselves on this to develop what we call coffee-based energy boosters. So these energy boosters can help our cyclists, our footballers, the musicians who want rapid access to energy, to jump like these artists of ours do.
So jumping for hours at a concert, you need a lot of coffee instead of alcohol.
Sure.
All right.
Or the weed.
There you are.
So what we're doing, we're proposing, what we started doing research on, is to make energy bars.
Energy bars.
And the Minister of Agriculture in charge of crops, Honorable Fred Wino Chakulaga, is a promoter of using coffee and cocoa to make energy bars.
Okay.
The energy bars, if I can explain quite a little. If you have some coffee, coffee will give you rapid energy supply, and then if you have some components of cocoa, it will give you the endurance. So if you are a long distance runner, I tend to think that probably people from the Aragon run much long distance because of coffee, and mainly the Kenyans too.
Okay.
We don't know the science behind Ethiopian runners.
But there's a lot of coffee.
A lot of coffee too. Right. So these 3 industries, if well supported, we have huge agro-industry sector that is local, providing employment and income to the farmers. But before you start,
I need to wind up.
Yeah. The farmer, what are we giving the farmer in the agro-industrialization agenda and this research for industry development? Usually the farmer sells beans, and most of the beans are not sold. So we are giving a coffee farmer multiple options. You can sell small beans to the cosmetic industry, and then you can sell some beans that are not of export grade to the local industry that is looking at energy bars, cosmetic products, and other products from coffee.
All right, thank you very much. That one is an eye-opener for everyone in business. the anti-aging ingredients in coffee, that one must be a seller because people don't want to grow old. Let me finish this conversation with Mr. Kagezi. The aspect of coffee being a beverage is one that kind of offers context to my question. Food security and nutrition, agroforestry systems that support crop production alongside coffee must be one that is emphasized to allow for those who want to adopt growing of coffee for commercial purposes to do that while at the same time being able to sustain themselves by integrating other crops into the mix. Are you helping people realign that particular agenda?
We are helping them. When it comes to the income, the coffee, now you know how much farmers are getting from coffee.
I have an idea.
You have an idea.
My coffee industry friends are in for a...
I thought you were also a coffee grower because all of them are smiling, they are calling me, and I'm asking them, where's my MM? Okay. Because I gave them advice.
That's right.
Then when it comes to food security, we are encouraging you to grow the coffee with the bananas. But also coffee is a food security because instead of selling your food crops, you use the money from the coffee to take care of your needs. So there it's a food security. And when it comes to environment, that's why we are encouraging farmers to grow the coffee with an agroforestry systems. But also maybe what we forgot is that we have started working also on vanilla.
On vanilla.
Yeah, we have been given a mandate to work on vanilla. So the vanilla farmers should also step out that we are developing also technologies and for the first time in Uganda, nobody has done research on vanilla. But we have now already started working on that.
Okay, gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. We shall give the very last word to Dr. Arina Itwe in your position as the Director of Research. Please, 40 seconds, and then we are out of here. Your last word.
Viewers, I want to encourage you to go into coffee production, because if you go into coffee production, you are dealing with a crop that is a class next to gold. The products give you ready revenue, and if you have coffee, money is much more tastier than any other money. Then you can invest in several other crops. You can develop this country. We can provide employment to young people and women, and this country can become middle-class economy.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Geoffrey Arina Itwe, the Director of Research at the National Coffee Research Institute, NACORI, and many thanks to you too, Godfrey Kagezi, Principal Research Officer at NACORI. No doubt, I believe, wherever you are, if you've heard that coffee is not only a beverage, it's also an anti-aging product. Now, that one must be able to capture the attention of the ladies, but most importantly, Dr. Arina Itwe talks about the fact that it's a class next to gold. All these aspects must be captured, and maybe concerted effort is undertaken by all stakeholders to ensure that coffee reaps the very best for the country, given the fact that it's been grown for ages here in Uganda. That will do it for our Tech Note. It's been a pleasure, of course, hearing what is no doubt very emboldening information with regard to coffee. I hope you have smelled the coffee.